down, and we are going to take off the throttle body assembly. It's held on by 2 screws, here and here, and those are removed with a Phillips screw. So let's go ahead and dig one of those out and remove the screws there, and we will go ahead and take this off. And these usually just pop right off, and this one did. And now that we have this off, we'll go ahead and check if there's any play in these shafts right here. This is a well-known issue with Quadrajets, usually on cars because you use them a heck of a lot more. I don't see it as much in the boats, but you know, a car, you're constantly moving these, you know, maybe 1,000 times a day, you know, on a daily commute. But a boat, you know, they're just not used as much in a boat. So you want to check and see if there's any up and down play in these, and if there are, you'll actually get air leaks in these things, and they make the Quadrajet like impossible to tune. This is where one of the, you know, issues comes up. The Quadrajunk, the people, you know, they just don't understand. They rebuild them, but you know, they got air leaks in here. There's actually a couple of companies out there that you can take. You can undo these screws, and you can pull these rods out of here, and they make a kit where you can drill in, and you can actually put a bushing in there, and then put this all back together, and it seals it all up and makes it as good as new. But this is just one of the known issues with a Quadrajet, and this one seems pretty tight. So I'm just going to soak this whole part, set that aside. With disassembly here, go ahead and remove this gasket. And the new gasket that I have does match up with this, so I can just go ahead and take this off. Okay, get rid of that. Now, this is another thing. On rebuilt Quadrajets, I'll usually see this done. But right here, this is actually another one of the flaws that people have noticed with Quadrajets. These leak, and they're actually just put in there with like a tin plug, and they tend to leak. So people will drill these plugs out, they'll tap these, and use some epoxy, and they'll actually put a plug, you know, a threaded insert down inside here to fill this up. The bowl leaks, and it'll empty it out, and people, you know, it gives them hard starts when they're starting their car or their boat because their bowl's empty. They have to wait for it to fill back up, and so this is another one of the flaws. There's actually like 100 weird things with these things that people have improved on, but you know, like I said, it just got a bad rap out. I just usually take some epoxy, and I'll clean this up real good and scuff it a little bit, and I'll just take some epoxy and put it all around here, and I've never had any problems with any leaking or anything like that. It's just one of the things I do. But this whole thing, I'll go ahead and soak this whole piece. There's no other plastic pieces or anything like that that'll mesh up in there. One thing that I forgot to mention, this fell out when I turned it upside down. This spring right here, it goes down inside your metering rod hanger, and it sits down in there. And I forgot to mention that that'll actually, you know, go right inside here, sit down in here. And it's kind of like spring loaded, and that little thing is held in place there. You can see that little plastic ring there kind of holds that in place and keeps it from popping out. So you just have to give it a little tug to get her out of there. But you never want to disassemble this thing either. These are calibrated at the factory, the hanger length of this. So just leave it alone, because if you mess it up, then you have to put it back on a flow bench, and you have to get it all recalibrated, and you know. So never disassemble this piece. It even says it in the instructions too. Just don't ever disassemble this piece. The garage now. and we're getting ready to soak some parts. This is actually the dip that I was talking about. I just picked this up at my local auto parts store, and it seems to work pretty good. Back in the day I used to have like a 5-gallon bucket of this stuff, and it made it a lot easier to soak like your big carburetor pieces. But this is the basket that I have, and it will actually just, you know, sit right down in there. I'll usually let them soak for about an hour each piece, and then I'll just clean them off with carburetor cleaner, and then I'll blow them off with the some compressed air. So this is what I'm using. It's just an old bowl that I found, and I'll actually take my my pieces and I'll set them in here, and then I will just take the carburetor cleaner, you know, the dip, and just pour it in the bowl and let that soak for about an hour. But you can see I just added enough carburetor cleaner or chem dip just so the part's submerged. I didn't want to fill the bowl to the top. And I'll let these parts soak for about an hour, 2 hours, and you know, I'll take that one out. I'll spray it off with carburetor cleaner, and then I'll hit it with the compressed air, making sure all the orifices and stuff are clean. And I'll do that with all 3 of my parts. Start putting this thing back together.